Good morning. It's 7:41 at WIBX. And this has been a long campaign season. Just seems longer than most. This congressional race, however, is a very important one for this area, for the region, replacing the seat currently held by Congressman Richard Hanna. In the studio right now in spot number one is Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney, followed by Martin Babinec, and then Kim Myers, who is the Democrat. Of course, Martin Babinec on the upstate jobs line, as well as Claudia Tenney, of course, the Republican. And I want to introduce Jeff Manaske, who will go over just the ground rules so everybody knows what's going to happen here. And we're going to get underway. And I got to turn your mic on.
There we go. Okay, it's 60 seconds per answer. We will get to opening statements. We ask that you limit that to 60 seconds as well. In previous debates, we've had rebuttal time in order to get to more issues and move things along. We do not have set rebuttal time. If a candidate says something about you or against you, or if you'd like to respond to something, just ask. We will do our best to accommodate that. Okay? All right. 60 seconds. We'll go right to it right now, right? Claudia Tenney, your opening statement.
Good morning. I just want to thank WIBX and all the numerous people here from WUTR, Sean, and also to Alex Giroux from the OD. And this is great that you're having a debate. I appreciate that. This is a very important race, and there's a clear choice. There are three candidates, but there's only one Republican in this race, and that's me. And I'm the only person who has been here and fighting for our community. This is vitally important because my business has been incorporated in New York. It remains in New York for 70 years, and I'm the only person sitting here who's been fighting corruption, fighting corporate welfare, fighting pay-to-play, and standing up for the citizens of our community. I'm going to go to Washington and do the same thing that I've done in Albany, which is to fight against burdensome regulations, taxes, and unfair trade deals, quite frankly, that have hurt our manufacturing base. Look forward to a great debate. Thank you so much to all of you.
All right, let's go to Martin Babinec.
Bill, thanks for hosting us, and also for WTR and OD for being here, and, of course, our listeners. My story's a bit different. Born and raised in Little Falls, and after community college, had the opportunity to travel around the world with the Navy as a civilian, and landed in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I started a company 28 years ago with my wife. And we've been very fortunate to help a lot of small businesses over the years with their headaches of being an employer. And along the way, decided to move our family back to the Mohawk Valley, where I was raised, so that we could raise our children here and have them get to know their grandparents and extended family. But in my years of commuting back to Silicon Valley while still running my company, I spent a lot of time thinking about the reasons we've had so many of our best people leave. 6 years ago, decided to start a nonprofit called Upstate Venture Connect that has as its mission helping us create more jobs in the newer industries. I'm running for Congress because I believe we have the right ingredients to create more jobs here. And I'm also running for Congress because I believe our two-party system is broken. And I have the opportunity to change that as an independent candidate, beholden to no one but you, the voters.
All right, and Kim Myers, good morning.
Again, thank you, everyone, for having us here. It's been a pleasure to be here. I was born and raised in upstate New York. Always have lived here, always will live here. Many of you may know my dad started a little bait and tackle shop that my siblings and I purchased and turned into Dick's Sporting Goods, the largest sporting goods retailer in the United States. And we employ thousands of individuals here in New York State, and we have more jobs on the way. I've also been a small business owner myself for 15 years. I've served on my Vestal Board of Education for 18 years, 8 as president, and I'm currently a Broome County legislator for the last year and a half. I've been part of my community my whole life, whether helping people recover from some of our devastating floods to actually this spring helping cheer on our World Little League Championship team. My husband and I have been married for 36 years, and we have 6 children. And I know what jobs mean, not only to the bottom line of businesses, but to our working families and to our community. That's why when I go to Washington, I really don't care whether it's a Democratic idea or Republican idea. I think we have to come together and we have to come up with good ideas for good paying jobs to help upstate New York. And that's what I will do, and I would ask for your support.
All right, Manaske.
All right, well, we'll begin the questions this morning. The first one is related to agriculture. Recently here on the Keeler in the Morning show, we spoke with local farmer Robin Fitch. Because of the dairy pricing situation, she believes that her and her family will lose their farm if elected to Congress. What will you do for New York farmers? And specifically, how can you fix the dairy pricing system, the issue facing New York farmers? This first question, Martin Babinec has the first chance to answer.
Family farms are certainly an important part of our regional economy. We have not only a lot of them, but they're the backbone of our rural communities that are throughout this district. Our farmers are under a lot of pressure because we have the government putting a lot of restrictions on farmers, restrictions that even get in the way of how they want to use their land. And there's been overreach, certainly by the federal government, getting more involved in telling farmers what to do than I think is reasonable. So cutting back on those restrictions are top of mind. The pricing of milk has been set up by a lot of, I'll say, even collusion within the industry. And the opportunity to break that up is going to be a combination of policy and also some guidance to farmers so that we could help them get their product to market.
All right, Kim Myers.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. Farming is the backbone not only of upstate, but also of the American way of life. And we need, certainly, our farmers to supply us with a quality food chain. I had a roundtable discussion with farmers in Cortland just the other day, and I think the way to help them is, number one, is to have more of those forums that ask them what's working for you and what's not working. Certainly the milk prices in 2014, they were wonderful, and now some of them are struggling. We need to listen to them. We need to hear what their issues are with their land, with regulations on their land about what they can produce, how they can produce it, the EPA. And so in order to help our farmers, we also need to let them be able to have access to credit and crop insurance. There was a number of things I learned at that forum, and I would continue listening to them and helping them come up with the solutions that we need.
All right, Assemblywoman Tenney.
Yeah, I've actually visited the Fitch farm as someone who has been working tirelessly for farmers and employs a number of people who had a dairy farm, and I have family members who are still in dairy farming. The federal milk pricing is one of the most complicated, ridiculous government regulations that is actually taking farmers away from the marketplace and determining what the price of their goods are. It's determined by the government every 2 weeks. We have to reform that system so that the farmers have a direct access to a free market. That's not happening. Also, the farm labor bill is something that's been forced in by liberal Democrats like Kirsten Gillibrand. It's something that's trying to be forced on farmers in the state assembly that would unionize workers. And many of these family farms, which are the backbone of our community, and agriculture is the #1 industry in New York State today. Those types of regulations and high taxes are what's hurting this industry.
All right, we have our debate here, our congressional debate. We have some panelists that have joined us here. Sean Martinelli from WTR. And we'll start with Alex Gerald of the Observer-Dispatch. Come right up to the microphone. And this is your question.
All right. This question will deal with immigration. Immigration has been a big issue and heavily discussed this election season. Are changes and reforms needed to the country's immigration policy, and how would you go about making those changes if they are needed?
And we'll start with Kim Myers.
Thank you. Well, immigration has been on the forefront of several administrations in the last decade or so. And certainly the number one thing with immigration, we need to secure our borders. We need to make sure we know who's in the country and who's not in the country. But we do have 11 million undocumented people who are working in our community, and we need to figure out a way to solve that problem once and for all. As we're speaking about our farmers need access to labor. So we need a comprehensive plan that will secure our borders, will find a path to deal with 11 million undocumented workers, and then go forward with a comprehensive plan that is enforced once and for all.
Assemblywoman Tenney.
Yeah, this is a vitally important issue. We need to secure the border, whether it's by a virtual wall. I don't know if we'll ever really build a wall, though there were contractors in place for it. You have no country without borders, and borders are really important, something that Hillary Clinton, who both of my opponents have supported, she's not going to secure the border. She's going to allow this inflow of immigrants that are going to come to this community and not be vetted. Mr. Babinec has specialized in outsourcing jobs, using foreign workers to come in and replace American workers. That's something that he does with his business, TriNet. He also is supported by a group called the U.S. Chamber. Their number one issue is actually free trade, taking U.S. jobs and sending them overseas. Their second biggest issue is amnesty and providing amnesty. So we do have an open border and we have a global economy. You heard Hillary Clinton in those WikiLeaks talking about open borders. We cannot have that type of situation, or you're going to end up jeopardizing American workers and you're going to jeopardize the security of all of us.
Martin Babinec.
When it comes to immigration, I certainly am in agreement that we do need to secure our borders, but also follow the existing laws that we have on the books. Right now, that has not been consistent around the country. Things like individual cities deciding to go the sanctuary city route and not enforcing existing immigration law is a concern for me. I am proud to have the endorsement of the U.S. Chamber, the U.S. Chamber being an organization that supports businesses all across the U.S. And part of the U.S. Chamber's position is to recognize that our immigration policy doesn't have enough opportunity for giving preference to those that have skills we need to grow our economy. So part of my immigration platform is to say that, hey, when you've got the right skills, whether it be the farm skills or the interest of farm workers in the H-2A program, or people at the higher skill levels that can contribute to some of our newer industries where we have a shortage of people with technical skills, that our immigration policy needs to reflect that so that we're letting people in that can control and contribute to growing our economy.
All right, next up is WTR Witness News, Sean Martinelli.
Yes, thank you, Bill. My next question has to do with trade. Many local businesses have opposed the Trans-Pacific Partnership, citing the negative effects it could have on the local economy. Do you support or oppose the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, and why?
And I believe it's Claudia.
Me.
Sorry.
I oppose it. I've written on this. I've done columns in national publications of why it's a bad thing. I run a business in New York. I'm the only one that has a business incorporated in New York and produce all of our goods and services right here in the 22nd Congressional District. We have actually lost jobs due to trade. Bad trade policies, sending our customers, some of them to Mexico, some of them to the Caribbean or Canada. That results in taking our customers away from us, losing revenues, losing jobs, and it's been devastating to our upstate communities. Two of the worst economies in the nation are the Utica-Rome area and Binghamton, and it's because of trade. Both of my opponents support, as you just heard Mr. Babinec, just supported free trade. He's supported by the U.S. Chamber. It's one of their signature issues. Ms. Myers' business almost all of their employees are in China or Asia with offshore accounts. They support trade. It has been devastating to this community. I don't know how we can trust anyone who's going to run for office who's willing to leave this state and take their jobs out of here just for corporate welfare or whatever they've been chasing, because we need to keep our jobs here.
Martin Babinec.
I am a believer in free trade. Free trade is what has made our country great. Free trade is also something that gives us lower prices. But it has to be balanced with what we call fair trade. And fair trade is not readily apparent in some of the agreements that have been negotiated. What I object to about the TPP is there was not enough transparency and there was not enough input from our elected leaders. It came down as a done deal forced by the administration in a straight up or down vote. So while, yes, I support free trade, the benefits that it brings to us as consumers, and the belief that free trade has helped build our economy and create lots of jobs, when it comes at the expense of fair trade, where countries that we're dealing with get a better deal than what we're getting in return, that's out of line. That's what's got to change. TPP has not come down with the proper balance, and I would definitely vote in favor of changing it.
Kim Myers.
Thank you. Yes, the TPP certainly has been a hot issue on the campaign trail, and I am definitely in agreement that the TPP has some flaws to it. Something nobody's talking about is the TPP is actually good for our farmers. Our farmers under that have the ability to export much of their goods, which is very beneficial to them. But it also hurts many of our manufacturing jobs. We need to have trade deals that don't hurt some and help others. And just by way of clarification, my family business employs not one single person, has not outsourced one single job to China. That's a false accusation, but I understand where that comes from. We need to make sure that our trade deals are fair for everyone. We need to have oversight, and we need to make sure that it works for our country and not against some in our country, and helps others.
All right, this is our 22nd Congressional District debate between Claudia Tenney, Kim Myers, and Martin Babinec. The election, of course, is 1 week from this Tuesday. We will come back with more. One more full hour of this debate. Our panelists asking the questions. If you'd like to pipe in and get a question that's asked on the air, contact us right now by calling our phone line at 736-0186. 736-0186. Stephanie will submit your question, and hopefully we get a chance to use it before the morning is up. Coming right back at WIBX.